Alright guys, continuing from the previous video, hope you already applied that part on your own and you are following along. If you feel like rewatching that video again, feel free to do so. And remember that AI is meant to be easy tool that will be doing the heavy lifting for us, but usually getting your hands dirty and experimenting on your own is what really sharpens your skills, and make that as a habit using these AI tools. So moving on, let's go back to our resources and place our logo. That's our logo in there. I'm gonna go ahead and drag and drop that logo in there as a new layer. Once we have our logo in there, we need to scale it down. However, we have placed our logo below that layer, so let's hit return. Now we have a very large logo, that's fine. We're gonna retransform that one again. Let's rearrange our layers, selecting that layer to below, click and drag. You have that blue line release and it's below. We can rename that layer retouches of clouds, okay? And you can easily rename your layers by double clicking on them like so. So that's our original image. Just to keep your files organized, your design files organized. This is gonna be very essential when you keep adding layers, you know? Anyway, since we do have our logo in there, I can select that one. Then let's move it to here. And if you do have auto select feature, you can click and select your design elements just like Illustrator. So I'm gonna select that logo like that. You can see we keep selecting our design elements in layers panel in there. Now in order to scale that logo down, you can press Command or Control T to transform that one. Easily like that, we can find a bounding box. We can hover to the corner maybe and drag like so. Now as a designer, you need to keep proportions. Large logos don't look nice, so keep it small. Not too small that you can't read the text, small enough, you know. That takes practice sometime. Even after transforming your logo, you might need to evaluate your scale, like so. And maybe a bit smaller even. Then hit return. Now we might need to nudge that one down using arrow down, like so. And alright. Now, if you ask me guys, we have another problem. Text in blue and sky in blue, that's not cool for readability. So we need to have that text in white, which is common for most logos by the way. They do have a white version of their logo, or part of their logo can be white, like in that case. So in order to do that, we need to have a selection tool. Again, right click, we're gonna be using that one, rectangular marquee tool, drawing a selection on that part. Okay, we have a selection from that layer, which is Delta logo. We can hover over our selection, right click, layer via copy. Now we have duplicated a part from that logo in a separate layer. We can double click in here and call it text part of the logo. Okay, long name. Then at the bottom we can find FX, click in here, then selecting color overlay. We have color overlay enabled. Double clicking in here to select our color. Then from the very upper left corner, we can select white. You can see that in a preview already. Pressing OK, then OK again. Now to be fully honest with you guys, when it comes to logos, usually we don't do that to them. We can change the part's color in Illustrator, or the client will be providing you with a white version of their logo. However, it's a good practice to try something like that, and you can go away with that. So if we zoom in, it looks fine. Even we are 230% zoom level. By the way, if you want to go back to 100%, press Command and Control 1, and you can see that's 100% level or scale, and that's the maximum resolution for that file. It's not a large file, so maybe this could be used for a social media campaign or something, not for printing. But let's not dive deep into these details in this video. Remember, this is about making your design easily in few clicks. And speaking of easily in few clicks, if you find that part challenging of changing your logo's text into white, you can cheat a bit by using Move tool and opening your design file in there, that BSD file in your resources. Once you double click that one, it's gonna open in Photoshop. You'll find I already created that one for you in a folder as well. So that folder is including these layers, okay? We're gonna see how to create a folder in a second, okay? You can click on that folder to expand it. You can tell from that arrow in there. You can click on that layer, and that layer again holding and maintaining shift key, then copy both of these layers pressing Command or Control C and paste them in that file. So let's press Command or Control V on top of that layer. So we have that layer selected, it's gonna come on top of that layer, Command or Control V. Now we have that pasted in there, as you can see. And if you want to create a folder just like that original file in there, in a folder like that, while you have your layers selected, you can click on that folder for more organized file. So double clicking in here, we can call that one logo. Enter, and we have it. Now we have duplicates of that logo. We can hide these two layers and use our move tool. However, let's disable auto select for now. We can move our logo to here, or even we can disable that folder. If you're doing everything from scratch, you can re-enable these layers again and hold shift key, click on that one and shift key. Now we have these two layers selected. We can link them. You can see a linking icon between them, so we can easily select one layer and it's gonna be moving with the pictogram or that triangle, you know. So let's notch that one a little bit lower. We can also select these two layers, holding and maintaining shift key and clicking on those two layers and clicking on that folder again. Let's call it logo original, okay? Maybe we can notch that one a little bit like so. Now we have our logo, we have our main subject, and we have our design ready. What's really missing in here is our advertising message. We can get inspired by another AI tool. In that case, it's gonna be ChatGPT or even Gemini. So let's go to our browser and ask it maybe give me 10 advertising messages for Delta Airlines business class magazine ad. That's gonna be giving you many options in there. Very cool options, luxury above clouds. You can get inspired from these or even copy and paste them in Photoshop. There is nothing wrong about that. Gemini as well is doing a great job for us. The same text in there, 10 advertising messages for Delta Airlines, and we have some cool messages in there. So maybe a message like that could be nice. We can copy and paste that in there, Command or Control C, going back to Photoshop, then selecting our text tool or type tool from toolbar or T for shortcut, click in there, and once you hover over maybe that layer, let's keep our logo on top, click in there, you'll get a lorem ipsum dummy text, if you will, as a sample text. We can paste that, Command or Control V, or even you can start typing in there, you know. Instead of pasting, you can type luxury redefined, you know. So now we have our text pasted in there. We can select our move tool to execute that. So now while we're having move tool selected, we can start moving our text around like so. We can even re-edit our text if we want by selecting our type tool again, and let's maybe remove that dot. I'm gonna click in there. You're gonna see a blinking cursor, removing that, and here you go. While you're having your text selected, you can highlight your text. You can change your font. In that example, I'm using Arno Pro font. It's a serif font, usually associated with luxury and stuff like that. You can try also a sans serif font and it's gonna look nice. So if you wanna select your font or even preview that one, you can do that from here, from option bar, or even from the side. I have character panel. Remember guys, you can access all your panels from here if you don't see them. Window, then in C, you can find character panel, okay? We can open that one. Here we can see we have Arno Pro, and we have more details about type in coming videos. This is just to get you going, so don't worry about all these details in there. However, I think you are familiar with most of them. But anyway, we can click in there. You can see preview for fonts. You can scroll down. Hovering over these fonts, you can see how they're gonna look like if you select any of them. Actually, that's very cool as well. Avenir is really nice, and that one could be very cool as well. Maybe something like script for luxury as well. However, let's keep it Avenir so I can show you two different examples for different texts or different fonts. You're gonna find that one as well in your resources. So let's select that. Avenir is cool. We have a style of flight. We can go for heavy. Let's go for our text. make it left to right, and also from here let's make it left to right Arabic digits. Let's double click on our text again to edit that one. Click in here, add let's maybe 3 dots. Okay, then you can evaluate if that looks nice or not, something like that. Then we can duplicate our layer again by selecting our layer using move tool. Let's open our layers panel and create another layer. Pressing Command or Control J, that will duplicate our layer. We can move that newly created layer lower using our arrow keys along with Shift key to move it faster like that. Okay, holding and maintaining Shift key and using arrow down will move it 10 increments. Now we can double click in here to start typing something like Delta Business Class or something like that. Now our design is almost finished. Let's move that one a little bit lower. We need to create a contrast between these two. So let's select that one. Let's have auto select enabled. Selecting our main message, enlarging that one, pressing Command or Control T and holding Alt or Option key to scale that one up from center. That's why I'm holding Alt or Option key while doing that. Maybe like so. And selecting business class and transforming that one again using Command or Control T, and let's scale it down like so. If you want to change your text color, you can double click in there or in there to have that one highlighted. You can see that there's a color in here in your option bar, or on right side in your properties panel. You can click in there, select maybe another color, maybe a white, or even you can scroll like that to see other colors, maybe maybe pink or so. Then you can go for that from here. That doesn't look amazing, maybe white will be nice. I'm giving you different options because we have another design for our typography in another file. So let's keep that one white. And from here, actually, I'm thinking of changing that font. So let's go back to our character panel from here. Let's go maybe for something like Apple Cherry or maybe something like that. Selecting our move tool to see it better. Then let's enlarge our text using Command or Control T and dragging from the boundaries while maintaining Alt or Option key. Something like that maybe. That could be an example in there. Or even let's go with Arno Pro. So let's type in there Arno Pro. That's an Adobe font, by the way. You can download that one from Adobe. We have detailed video about typography and how you can download these fonts. You might need to check that one out if you haven't yet. Maybe Arno Pro bold like so. That looks very nice. And Delta Business Class in sans serif modern font like Avenir or Myriad Pro or something like that. We can start selecting that one, Delta Business Class, nudge it a bit like so. Actually, in this point, we need to have more space around our text. So I'm gonna try to select that layer and hold and maintain Shift key, selecting that layer with Move tool and Auto Select enabled. Now we have these two layers selected. We can nudge our text a bit to try different layouts for our type. So maybe here could be nicer or even a bit higher like so. And as a great tip for you guys, if you are about to finalize your design and you have placed your design elements in their places, make sure to move your eyes from the screen for a bit. So go maybe make a cup of coffee or tea or even scroll on your phone or something like that. Then give it a minute or so and take another look at your design. And from there you can judge if you need to do another adjustments to your design or not. So maybe when you take a second look, you'll feel, oh, that's a bit off the placement of that text. So let's move it a little bit to here and redo that process, you know. Every time you take a look at your design, you're gonna discover some flaws, and that's totally fine. And also the aspect ratio that you're working in could greatly change your proportions, as it's all about proportions when it comes to design and layout. So for instance, in that other layout in there, it's basically the same design, but here we have a wider canvas or document, and that's giving us more space around our design elements. In my opinion, this one is slightly better than this one in here. That doesn't mean that this one is bad. However, when it comes to proportions, this one is wider. We have more space between our design elements. So anyway, you're gonna find that one as well in your resources. You can open the two files and judge yourself. Maybe next time when you're expanding your image using your crop tool, you can go a bit further like that to have more space for your design. So anyway, at this point we can keep enhancing our design, maybe play a little bit more with our text, just like that one in here, adding maybe a color grading layer. As you can see, we have a slightly difference in color between that design and that design in there, but you can stop at this point, go ahead to File, Save As, and give it a name, and keep format as Photoshop. It's gonna save a PSD file, then click Save, and once you do that, go ahead to File, Save a copy. We need to save that one as JPEG. From here, select JPEG, then click Save. So you can share that one with us on our Facebook group, maybe for feedback or inspiration or saying hi. So now go ahead and maybe replay that video to follow each and every step on your own and celebrate creating such a complex design like that one in few clicks. That was Khalil Ibrahim with you guys. Hope you enjoyed that one, and I'll be seeing you in next one.